Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. It is 2 o'clock, and I see a number of people still logging in, so we're going to give the remainder of our attendees a couple of minutes to complete their login, and we will get started. Be back in a minute. Well, hello, everyone. Again, welcome to today's webinar, SAP BusinessObjects 4.0 from the administrator's point of view. It's great to have you with us this afternoon. Welcome back to those of you who have joined any one of the previous 8 webinars in our SAP BusinessObjects 4.0 series, and welcome to those of you that are new to the series. I'm Lori Blanford, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Dun Solutions Group, and I'll be the moderator today. And our presenter is Natasha Kishinevsky, Business Intelligence Manager here at Dun Solutions Group. All right, as I mentioned, this is the 8th webinar in our 4.0 series. If you've missed any of the previous presentations, they are available on demand on our website, dunsolutions.com. Feel free to take a look at those at your convenience and share the links with colleagues who have been unable to attend. Now, before we get started, in the event you have a question during today's presentation, you can submit the question via the question box in your console on the lower right-hand portion of your screen. And then at the end of the presentation, providing that we'll have time, we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. Okay, this is a brief look at today's agenda. And we'll get started with a brief overview about Dun Solutions Group and our SAP BusinessObjects expertise. We were founded 24 years ago, and we are a full-service information technology consulting firm. We design, develop, and deliver a wide range of solutions using a variety of today's most advanced tools, and we deliver those solutions with offices in Chicago, Minneapolis, Raleigh, and Bangalore, India. Our offerings fall into 3 practice areas: application development solutions, includes custom application development, mobile application development, e-commerce, portals, and web design. Business intelligence solutions, which include end-to-end BI solutions, dashboards, reporting and analytics, mobility, and other advanced BI capabilities. And package solutions, which include software services offerings for specific vertical markets or unique needs. In addition, we offer training solutions, and those include classroom on-site and custom training, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Our clients include some of the biggest names in American business, many mid-market companies, as well as a large number of government agencies and nonprofits. Some of these names include PepsiCo, Abbott, Bank of America, Kaiser Permanente, Allstate, City of Chicago, Progress Energy, and others. To offer our clients the most advanced solutions possible, we do maintain close partnerships with industry-leading technologies, such as SAP BusinessObjects. And our partnership with SAP is one of our strongest and most important. We are a gold-level partner and have been a top-level partner for 17 years. We utilize the full BusinessObjects stack in our solutions, and we offer comprehensive BusinessObjects training at our authorized training centers in Raleigh, Minneapolis, and St. Louis. Okay, at this point in the presentation, I'm going to hand it over to Natasha, and perhaps we'll speak again at the end of the presentation for the questions and answers. Again, feel free to submit your questions via the question box. And I think you'll enjoy it. There's a great presentation in store. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lori, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Natasha Kishineski, and I will be providing you the information on administrators' point of view in this webinar. So the purpose of today's webinar is to give you an introduction into managing the SAP BusinessObjects BI platform. We'll address some of the key operations that are performed by administrators of the BI platform, such as security, installation of the platform, system monitoring, and so on. So as you can see the agenda, we're going to talk about platform installation and configuration. We're going to look into our central management console. We'll recap some of the things from system monitoring, and we'll review some of the other related items, and we'll try to answer the questions as well. As with all of our webinars, we start with a high-level view. We assume a mixed audience. We'll try to keep it simple, and we'll try to bring out the things that are exciting and important from the administrator's point of view here in this webinar. Just to give you a brief overview of some of the major components of the BI platform, as you can see from this beautiful diagram, the SAP BI platform consists of a variety of tools that provide users with the ability to create and share their analysis with others. It is the job of any BO administrator to ensure that all those components function properly. As administrators, we have to understand what each of those tools is used for and the audiences that use it. And just to kind of give you a brief review here, you can see that some of the tools that are familiar to you, such as Crystal Reports, Web Intelligence, Explorer, and some new tools like BI Workspaces and Dashboard Design, which are used as enterprise dashboarding tools here on the platform. All right, so in reality, it all starts with installation. The new version, the 4.0 version of SAP BusinessObjects, is a 64-bit version, and it can reside on either Unix operating system or Windows operating systems. We can host a separate webinar on just doing installations and different scenarios of platform installations that we have encountered. There are single server installations, there are clustered environments, like I said, Unix and Windows-based environments as well. I have broken down the installation process into 4 logical steps here. One of the first step that you have to take in installing the system is you have to figure out what type of installation, what options of installation you would like to take. Whether you'd want to do a full install, which is the most, the one that comprises that gets you all the components of the BI platform installed, including Tomcat and the web application deployment. You can also choose the custom or expanded installation, which allows you to actually select features that you would like to install if you don't want everything on the platform to be deployed. And the third option is the web tier, which only installs the web tier features and deploys the web application. And this option is useful when you're creating an environment with load balancing in place and you prefer that your web applications reside on a separate server. So you'd want to prepare that by installing a web tier on a separate server that you can later address in your configuration. The second part of the installation procedure is actually configuration. This is where you have to select where the repositories reside. So as you can see here in step 2, we are selecting an existing database, or you can install and use a default database. You could also configure how you want the web applications to be deployed. Do you want to use a Tomcat, or do you want to use a web application container server? In either one of the cases, the web applications are deployed automatically. The second option in this list is to manually deploy to a pre-installed web application server. As I mentioned before, if you have chosen the web tier installation in this first step, you could address this web server in the configuration by choosing the step number 2 here, the option number 2. In the configuration, you will also be asked to provide ports for the central management server and for Tomcat. and also for the server intelligence agent. These ports and names are suggested by the installation program, but you can change them based on your environment. If you are installing a cluster, you have to make sure that you provide meaningful node names to each one of your cluster nodes. And as I said, you also have to configure ports for Tomcat. In step number 3, which is basically the logical step number 3, is where you have to configure and use the use of Lifecycle Manager. Lifecycle Manager now comes as part of the installation. Unlike the previous versions where it was an additional install, it is now part of the overall installation on the system. And you can configure on whether you would use the subversion that comes with the installation, or you would use an existing version control system that resides on your system. All right. One of the last items that you have to configure Sorry about that. One of the last items that you have to configure in your installation is the connectivity to your central management server databases. And in any installation, in any scenario, you could have a repository database and an audit database. The audit database is used by the auditing application, while the repository database stores the vital system information. The repository and audit databases should reside on a database management system. There is really no preference on which DBMS to use. The old platform installation comes equipped with SQL Server Express, which allows you to deploy your repository databases without having any additional database management systems in place. If you choose to use an existing database management system, you should create 2 blank databases, one for repository and another for auditing. And you should make sure that the users that are used for the installation of the platform have access to those databases. When performing an installation, you will simply point to each of those databases and ensure that you select to reset existing database. Here's that option number 3 that you can see on my screen. This will ensure that all the necessary tables are created in that database during the process of installation. All right, there are 2 different flavors of installation of the BO platform. One is the installation of the actual platform, and the other is the installation of the client tool. We talked about installing the BI platform, and this slide kind of tells you the different tools that are included in the installation. When you install the platform, you also install the Central Configuration Manager, which is a desktop tool that helps you manage your BI platform servers. You also install the Upgrade Management tool, which is a tool that comes in handy when you're upgrading content from previous versions of BusinessObjects. I have to stop here and remind everyone that there is no direct upgrade path from version 6.5. In order for you to upgrade your 6.5 content, you have to first get to at least version XIR2. Installation also provides you with the Repository Diagnostic tool, which is a command line tool, and it scans, diagnoses, and repairs inconsistencies that may occur between the central management server and the file repository server. All right, so that's all for the BI platform tool. The client tool installation includes such tools as Web Intelligence Desktop, which is a rich client of the Web Intelligence web-based version that's probably familiar to most of you. The interface of the tool is exactly like its web-based counterpart. The difference here is that you can be developing reports while not connected to the central management system, and you can also build your reports with unstructured data sources such as Excel files and comma delimited files. The client tool install also installs Business View Manager, which is an application that allows you to create and manage business views along with data connections, data foundations, and so on. You will also get the Report Conversion tool, which is a tool that assists in conversion of desktop intelligence reports to Webby. And as I said before, desktop intelligence has been discontinued. It will no longer be supported in version 4.0. So you would need to convert all of your desktop intelligence reports to Web Intelligence. Another tool that comes with the platform, with the client tool install, is the Universe Design tool, which is a legacy universe design tool. When you migrate your existing universes from previous versions of BO, you will use this tool to maintain those universes. The universes created with this tool have a file extension of .unv and can only be used with the Webby reporting tool. They're not compatible with the other tools on the platform. Another important component here is Query as a Web Service. Query as a Web Service is a tool that allows you to create your queries based on your BI content and define those queries as web services to be later consumed by dashboard services and so on. Information Design tool is also gets installed within this package, and this is the new Universe Design tool. Universes created with this tool can be multi-source universes and can be consumed by all the tools on the platform. Translation Management tool allows users to address localization requirements for international deployment. You also get the Data Federation Admin tool and desktop widgets. There are some tools that are not included in either one of the installs, but can be downloaded and installed separately. And as you can see on my slide here, some of those tools include Crystal Reports, Dashboard Design, formerly known as Excelsius, Explorer, which again is a separate install, and Explorer is one of our favorite tools, and we like to refer to it as Google for BI. Explorer allows you to conduct BI analysis on the fly by simply supplying a search phrase and retrieving relevant search results from your BI platform. And another important tool here is to mention is BI Platform, which also is a separate install and configuration. When you install the platform, you also end up deploying these web application clients. So the following web application clients get deployed when you do the platform installation. The Central Management Console, which is actually what we're going to be discussing here shortly. This is a tool that administrators use to manage the system, the Business Objects platform. BI Launchpad, which is formerly known as an InfoView, which provides users a single point of entry into your BI platform. BI Workspaces, which in effect replaces Dashboard Builder, Report Viewers, Web Intelligence, Analysis Edition for OLAP, formerly known as Voyager, and also mobile. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about here is Central Management Console. As administrators, we usually use Central Management Console to manage the SAP Business Objects BI platform. The administrators use CMC to manage servers, monitor system health, manage content, and manage security of the system. We'll log into Central Management Console here in a second, but just to give you kind of a brief walkthrough here, the look and feel of it hasn't changed drastically from the previous version. If you're familiar with CMC in version 3.x, you will find your way around the new CMC in no time. So let's go ahead and actually log into our Central Management Console, or CMC. So from this home screen, you can manage content, manage users, define new access levels, define new calendars, events, and manage the system settings, servers, and properties. You can either pick the items that you're interested in managing from the home screen, pick them from the drop-down menu, or from the menu to the side. I personally prefer using the drop-down menu. I find it time-saving. So let's look at the drop-down menu, and we'll discuss some of the more important aspects of managing your system. The first one on the list here is access levels. Access levels allow you, and this application allows you to create and modify the access levels on the system. Access levels control what type of access users will have to a certain application or content. You can limit the operations users perform on the system by adjusting the access level that the users are assigned to. Some of the access levels include view and refresh, view on demand, or if it's somebody who needs full control, they can actually perform actions such as edit reports, move reports, delete reports, and so on. People who have access to schedule, people who have the schedule access level are allowed to view the documents and schedule them to run at specific points in time. So you can add your own access levels here or modify the existing access levels. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is authentication. If you are planning to take advantage of authentication methods such as Windows Active Directory or LDAP or any other third-party authentication methodology, you could actually, this is where you would administer that. Let's say, for example, we are using Windows Active Directory. So this is where I would go to make sure that all of my Active Directory groups are added. I would make sure that I establish connectivity to my to my Active Directory domain and my Active Directory controller. This is where I would also turn on my single sign-on so the users don't need to supply the username and password when they log into the system. And I'm also able to schedule the updates of my Active Directory groups in case new users get added to those Active Directory groups. I don't have to manually add them to the BusinessObjects platform. I could schedule my AD group updates to run on a certain interval. Another important shortcut here is the Instance Manager. You would use the Instance Manager to monitor the activity on your system, monitor the jobs that are running on your system. It would allow you to look at the pending jobs, showing you the location of those jobs, the type, the status, as well as the owner and the runtime. Another important aspect here is settings. If you wanted to view the system metrics, you would go to the settings application here. And this is where you can easily find out what is the location of your central management server repository database, which right now is pointing to SQL Server and gives me the location of that database and the username that is used to connect to that database. I could also tell how many licenses I have in store here, 50 concurrent licenses. I could tell how many system connections are open right now. I don't actually like seeing a number high like this because that just means that people have been closing out without killing their connections, without logging off. So I have to remind my users, instead of closing out of their BusinessObjects platform, to make sure that they do a log off to kill off their connection. And right now it's showing me that there are 2 users logged in. I could also see how many jobs are pending on the system. I could see how many jobs were successful versus how many jobs failed. So this gives you a nice little overview of the different system metrics on the system. Okay, at this point I'm going to go back to our presentation, and we will be going back and forth between the presentation and the CMC in this webinar. One of the important aspects that administrators should take care of is managing the servers. And managing the servers can be done through the CMC, web-based, or through the desktop version of the tool called Central Configuration Manager. Central Configuration Manager is a tool that gets installed directly on the server where BusinessObjects platform is running. Okay, so when we navigate to the servers in our Central Management Console on the web, we can view our servers by service categories, by status. We could also, if we had a clustered environment, we can view our servers by nodes. So let's go back and see what it looks like in CMC. I'm going to find my servers here. So here's my different service categories, my server status, and this is giving you a fast way of finding out if there are any servers that have stopped or if any servers have an unknown status, which means they're either starting or failed to start, or any of the other statuses here. And it also gives you a nice view of all your running servers. Once you find the server that you're looking for, you can modify the properties of that server. For example, let's say that we wanted to find out what is the location of our input-output file repository files. For that, we would need to find our input file repository server and the output file repository server. Those are the core services, so I'm going to go ahead and find them here. And let's look at the properties for those servers. So here it pinpoints the location of where the files are stored on the system. I can also look at the metrics here, where it'll tell me when the server was restarted. It'll tell me the logging directory where the log files can be found. It'll give me the IP address and the port for this service. It'll also give me metrics like how much space it occupies and how much space is left. And right now, I only have 12% of available space, which is not good. I have to increase the space here at some point. Okay, another thing that I wanted to note here on managing the servers are a few changes that happened from version 3.x to version 4.0. And as you can see from my tables here, with the release of Feature Pack 3, there are more changes coming. And that reminds me that we are planning to host a separate webinar to talk about all the new features and improvements that are included in Feature Pack 3. We will be hosting that webinar sometime in August. A few things to note here on this slide. As you can see from these tables, the job servers for each individual application have been rolled into one adaptive job server, which makes the maintenance a little easier. With the release of Feature Pack 3, the dashboard servers will no longer be required. And another point here that desktop intelligence is no longer supported, which means the desktop intelligence servers are also not available in version 4.0. Another aspect of your job as administrator is managing the content that resides on your BI platform. In CMC, you are able to organize documents, manage access to those documents, set the objects for distribution, as well as set limits on folder content for users. One important thing that administrators can do that other users cannot do is access other users' favorites. So if a user is no longer part of your system, you could always go in and access their favorite folder to distribute their items to accordingly. Security is a vital aspect of managing your BI platform. Administrators are usually in charge of maintaining a security model on the BI platform, which can be managed within CMC. When it comes to creating security models for your BusinessObjects BI platform, you have to think about two types of security, functional security and data access security. The data access security controls what content and information the users can see on the system, while functional access controls what applications the users can use. It controls what operations the users can perform on the system. When you create a security model, you'll end up with a model where all the users on the system will fall into at least one data access group and at least one functional group. Users can be classified as report writers, report consumers, administrators, and so on, depending on security requirements, just to meet the security requirements of your organization. Let's go back to Central Management Console, and we'll create a new user, and we'll go through the process of administrating security here. So in order to create a new user on the system, we will navigate to the Users and Groups portion of our console here. And I have to mention that it's always a best practice to create groups of users so that you don't have to manage rights individually for each user. You always want users to be added to certain groups. For the purposes of this webinar, we are not going to follow this best practice. I just want to go through the motion of creating the user and making sure that we add that user to appropriate channels. So I want to go through the exercise of creating a user on the system and giving that user access to a specific folder on the environment, and giving them access to build new web intelligence documents. So I'm going to go ahead and build a new user. Let's call him a webinar user. And we'll set a password for him. As I was talking and typing, I must have mistyped one of my passwords, so let me try this again. Here we go. Okay, so in my list, I should now have the webinar user. Okay. Now, as I said, I wanted to give that user access to one of my folders on the system, and I also wanted to give them access to Web Intelligence application. So what I need to do is find the folder that I'm looking for, and let's give them access to the done demonstrations, DSG demonstrations. I will add that webinar user as another principal on this folder. And for this particular webinar, I'm going to give them full control, which means that they can modify the items in that folder, they can organize them, they can cut and paste the items, remove the items from the folder, and so on. Okay. Now, my job here is not done. In order for the users to be able to see all these public folders on the system, I have to manage my top-level security and assign that user to the top-level security folder. So I'm going to add that user to my list here. And I'm going to make sure that this user sees the top-level folder only, along with some of the folders that are predefined on the system, along with the folder that I specifically granted them access to. I'm going to say OK. So the content access has been granted to this particular user. And the next thing I have to do is make sure that this user has access to my Web Intelligence application. So for me to do that, I have to find my Web Intelligence application in the list here. Here's my Web Intelligence, and I'm going to modify user security here. I will add that user to Web Intelligence. And I will give them full control of Web Intelligence application, which will allow them to not only view the reports, but also create them, save them, publish them, and so on. And now, for the true test of this, I'm going to log in as that user. And let's hope that everything I just did actually takes place. So here's the folder that I granted this user access to, along with some of the predefined standard folders that come equipped with the platform. Okay, and let's make sure that they also have access to Web Intelligence application, which they do. And from this point, the users can actually start controlling their Web Intelligence documents and building their new Web Intelligence documents. So the process of security is really divided into two different parts, or three different parts. You have to create the users, assign them to groups. Once that's accomplished, then you assign the rights to those users to specific content and to specific applications. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is one of the topics which was covered in our previous webinars. I wanted to touch upon that a little bit here as well, because this is part of the administrator's job, and this is system monitoring. So monitoring creates awareness for system administrators and enables them to act proactively rather than reactively. The only way for administrators to know that a server went down in previous versions was to basically get a phone call from an angry user telling them that they can't log into the system or they can't run reports or something else is happening there. And users would try to access the system to build a report only to find that, only to be faced with system errors, which would prompt them to call BO administrators. With version 4.0, administrators have all the tools necessary to prevent the system from going down at their disposal. So monitoring allows you to keep the health of your BO platform in the forefront. You are able to view the critical system KPIs to establish activity and system resource allocation. You can view recent failures, analyze peak load period of the platform, and subscribe to alerts. Monitoring allows you to capture the runtime and historical metrics of the BO platform servers for reporting for notification. The monitoring application also helps administrators to identify if an application is functioning properly, if the response times are as expected, and you can provide your own key business metrics in the monitoring application to provide better insight to the overall system health and the state of your BO platform. When we open our monitoring application in Central Management Console, the first thing we see is a dashboard. The dashboard is a way for us to quickly scan through the key performance identifiers and note if there are any problems we can see right away. The dashboard is actually broken into watches, trend line that depicts the watch's performance live, KPIs, which can include things that administrator deems important, such as how many users are logged in, how many jobs are running, how many jobs are pending, and so on. And just to give you an idea, if you see a large number of pending jobs, that's not a good thing, and you usually should take some action because that means that there's a bottleneck that gets created somewhere, causing the number of your jobs to stack up. The last thing you see on the dashboard is a list of alerts that have been triggered in the last 24 hours. So I mentioned watches on the system. What's a watch? A watch is a process that you can create that will provide real-time status and historical trends of the servers and workflows that exist in the BO environment. A watch is usually associated with a server on the platform or group of servers, such as a job server or a processing server or a reporting server in case of Webby. And two rules can be identified. One is a caution rule, and the other is a danger rule. Each rule essentially is a Boolean expression. If met, it will trigger an alert, a caution alert, or a danger alert. And each rule can have 2 or 3 states identified by traffic lights. Now, not only the administrators can subscribe to these alerts, your users can also subscribe to alerts if they need to. And when they log into their BI Launchpad, they will be able to see the list of those alerts if a caution rule or a danger rule has been encountered. The BO platform monitoring application also comes equipped with various metrics that administrators can use to set up watches and monitor system health. Each server will have its own set of metrics. Metrics can include things like concurrent jobs, completed jobs, execution time, peak jobs, number of users logged in, and so on. So as you can see here are adaptive job server metrics. We can see concurrent jobs here, disk size in gigabytes, failed job creations, peak jobs, and so on. But for central management server metrics, we also see the different types of metrics here. I'm going to switch back again to my CNC console. And I'm going to find my monitoring application here. All right, so again, you have the first thing that you see here is the dashboard that actually allows you to look at live view of your system health of each server that's displayed here in the list. And it gives you a centralized view for the system for you to monitor the performance of all servers. It provides real-time information on the system KPIs, recent alerts, watches, and corresponding graphs based on the watch state. You could also view the history of each one of the servers by switching the view to history. And if there were any alerts or any danger rules encountered on that system, it would actually prompt you. It would actually show you that here. And you could also disable the history and go back to your live view of the system. You could also sort the dashboard by server status. Some of the servers here on my system don't necessarily have the health information, but possibly because something went wrong. Maybe those servers went down recently, and we need to establish connection again to those servers. And another thing that you can see here is what I mentioned before, the KPIs, standard metrics on the SAP BusinessObjects Enterprise deployment, and they provide information about schedules and log-on sessions. For example, as I mentioned, the higher number of running jobs indicates good performance. A higher number of pending jobs indicates high system load, which means that you are not utilizing your resources properly, and maybe there's something creating the bottleneck there that is causing the number of your pending jobs to stack up. As part of this dashboard, so what I'm going through here, these are actually watches. And watches, as I mentioned before, provide a real-time status and historical trends of servers and workflows within SAP BI platform. Users can associate thresholds to alerts to a watch. You can create a watch using data from probes, servers, or derived metrics. So here's a list of my different watches on the system, and let's go ahead and create a new one here. I'll create one for our Webby reporting server, and it allows me if I want to add the number of states, 2 or 3. The second option allows me to look at where the system is okay, where there's a caution event, or where there's a danger. If I chose the first option, I would be able to only see if it's in good health or if it's in danger of failing. So I'm going to go ahead and take the second option here. Do I want to show this on a dashboard, or do I want to simply write it to the trending database just to make sure I capture history for this? I actually want to do both here. And the most important piece here is what I want to do is create a caution rule. And I'm going to base my caution rule on a Webby server. And one of the metrics that I'm going to choose here is the size, so the disk size. If disk size is close to, what I have the limit, then please send me a danger alert, and I will have to take action here. So it creates a Boolean expression, and when I create that watch, anytime it encounters this expression, it will send an alert to me. All right. As I mentioned before, the BusinessObjects platform comes equipped with different metrics. You could also create your own metrics by using mathematical formulas. So you can actually combine 2 different metrics together. And again, those metrics are either probe metrics or server metrics. And each different server has a different set of metrics that you can apply. All right, another thing that's useful here on the system are probes. And probes are used to monitor different services, and they simulate different functionalities of BusinessObjects enterprise components. By scheduled probes to run at specified intervals, the system administrator can track the availability of a certain service. Let's say you wanted to schedule a probe that will keep pinging the central management server. And if it comes back with unsuccessful response, that means your central management server is down. You could set up those probes for other services as well, like Crystal Report services, for BI Launchpad, which is in this case it's called InfoView, so or for interactive analysis, which is Web Intelligence. And if there are any failures, as you can see on my screen here, it comes back with a failure and the round trip that it took to for that probe to execute. Okay, so that covers everything that I wanted to discuss in the webinar today, including the monitoring, the central management console, and the platform configuration. So what we want to do now is give you some of the next steps that you can take with this. You can use us to help you install and deploy your BusinessObjects platform. We are actually waiting for the release of Feature Pack 3 right now, so we will be recommending people to wait until Feature Pack 3 is released to actually conduct that installation and migrate your content from existing environments. We can help you plan your BI initiative. We usually work with clients to create their BI initiative from ground up. We work on data warehousing as well. This is our expertise. This is our area of expertise, so we can help you with building, deploying, and designing your BI initiative from point zero. We can also help you implement document distribution and conduct training, because we are authorized to conduct SAP BusinessObjects training. And we do, as Lori mentioned, we do have classrooms in Raleigh, Minneapolis, and St. Louis. We also offer training on site and virtual training as well. And our next webinar is going to cover the business planning and consolidation, the BPC, and new features of BPC 10. So we still have a few minutes to look over the questions here. One of the questions here, will we be able to get a copy of the deck? Yes. Every presentation that we're doing is going to be loaded onto our website.
All right, just give us a moment. Hi there, everyone. Thank you, Natasha, for a fantastic presentation, by the way. The BPC webinar will be on July 10th, and the invitations for that, I hope, will go out tomorrow. It's not very early next week, so we hope to see some of you return for that webinar. And we're just having Natasha review the questions and select a few that she's able to answer on the fly right now for you.
One of the questions here, can the old universe files be opened with the new design tool? You actually have to go through the conversion process. Your old legacy universes need to be converted to be able to be viewed through the new information design tool. And there is a wizard that actually helps you go through that process. It's a pretty straightforward process. We've encountered some problems with that with version 4.0, but we know that some of those problems have already been fixed and addressed in Feature Pack 3. So hopefully that process will be a little more streamlined. For the new universe design tool, could you please expand on the multi-source capabilities? Sure. Basically what happens is the data federation engine now runs within the universes. So if in the past you had to your universes could only support one data source, new universes can actually support multiple data sources because the data federation actually is supported within the universes. So you can create universes based on multiple data sources without having the need for the users to then join the data sources at report time. There's one question here: is there better documentation for access levels and the strange errors you get that are kind of meaningless and don't tell you what settings need to be turned on? The admin guide provides you with some of those, some of the questions answered here, and we can also find some of the documentation that we've been using, and we will definitely get back to you and share those documents with you. Copy of the webinar, yes. So the copies of the webinar will be available on our website.
Yep, so providing that today's recording went well, I will send by email a link to that recording, hopefully within the next week. And at that time, we do post them on our website.
And the Q&A, will the Q&A be posted? Somebody's asking.
Generally, we don't post the Q&A. We do address as many questions as we can at this point in the presentation, and then there are times when we follow up with all the attendees with a list of questions. If there happen to be multiple questions of the same nature or a lot of questions that we weren't able to address. So that's on a case-by-case basis. Natasha, what do you think with this group of questions?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions that came in, so we can definitely address them and post the answers. Okay. I do have time for another question here. Can we kill hanging jobs via CMC? Yes. In the Instance Manager, you could look at if the job is running, and you can actually kill it. You can kill it there. And also, can report runtime be monitored in System Monitoring Tool dashboard? That could actually be monitored also with the Instance Manager. So if the report is scheduled to run, you can monitor it in the Instance Manager as well. One of the other questions is, can client tools reside on desktops and connect to the application? The answer is yes. That's basically the purpose of them. You install the client tools on developer desktops, and they are all able to connect to the central repository in order to share the documents. Let's say they are creating universes, they can definitely connect to the repository to share the universes with other users. All right, so we will be posting the questions into. Yeah, we will definitely do that. Feature Pack 3 release, I will find out. Right now, we don't have a date. We're all anxiously awaiting that, and as soon as we know, we will definitely keep everybody informed.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. And we look forward to having you back at our next webinar. And please be on the lookout for an email from me, including the recording of this presentation as well as answers to your questions. Okay? Thanks so much. Take care.